All right, why don't we get started? It's 7:04 and the others will just pop on in. Steve, good to see you. Izzy, are you still there? Well,
he's muted.
Okay. I'm not sure. I normally hear Ryan's really pretty good about letting me know if he's going to join us, and I haven't heard from him.
Wow.
You know, I did have a conversation with the young man who is heading up the purchase of the infamous poker table. And he began, when he first started calling me, he was in Africa on vacation. So, but he returned to Lexington, and I said, "Man, you don't have to call me on the day you get back." But Charlie, what I said to him was, he promised me he had to go over and, even if it's been measured twice, to measure the door, the elevator, everything, to make sure that what he's going to buy and how it's going to be packaged, they can get it in. But they're ready to make the purchase, and I assume we're going to do it online. So do you want us to set up a Zoom call with you, and you can just give us the debit card number? I wouldn't send the debit card in email.
No, I won't. Either that or, there's a possibility I'm not available. The other is I could call with the credit card, given an invoice and a contact.
Okay. What I'll do is just put him in touch with you and let him work it out. Seems to be pretty easy, but they want to make sure they have it by rush.
Okay, and who is it that is working on it?
Bear with me. Hang on, I'll give it to you before we get off here.
Okay. I see Jack Riesinger there. You're muted, Jack. I see that you had sent money in.
I did.
And was that for last year, or is that supposed to be July 1 forward?
No, that was my renewal of my dues.
Well, the dues aren't, the fiscal year started July 1. You sent it June 27. So
yeah, I wanted to get out ahead of it.
You got ahead of it in the wrong fiscal year. But I'll take care of
it. Just sit on it for a while. Hey, Charlie, that guy's name is Jackson Holt.
Holt?
Holt, yeah.
All right.
All righty.
And then, so if Ryan jumps in, he takes over. But otherwise, just really quick, everybody got Jack's excellent minutes from last month. Is there any questions? And if not, can we approve them by acclamation?
So moved.
Okay, great minutes. All right, Charlie, you're up.
All right. Not much since the last meeting. And I've noted this is for the end of the fiscal year. So it doesn't include the first, these 10 days of July. This will be the final for the fiscal year. The cash we have is $38,563. There's the breakdown of it. We have $11,760 in operating, almost $10,000 in the Gil Wilson Chapter Room Fund. Scholarship is $14,243. Party funds is $2,700, and the alumni weekend, I'll I'll merge the alumni weekend with the party funds, and party funds will be a little bit less. On the income side, not much happened since the last meeting. We're at $28,095 for the year. The bulk of that being from the scholarship fund with $15,850. Dues from 47 individuals plus support was $2,900. We had a little bit in there for Rush, $300. Chapter room fund was $2,225, and the alumni weekend, the money that came in. On the expense side, we've got expenses of $22,655. I sent in the past a couple of weeks ago, I sent a check to the chapter for $4,175 for the scholarship. And during the past year, we spent $7,861 on furniture, and the party was about $7,900. On the second page on that has got all the some summaries of transactions that flow up to the breakdown of cash and into the restricted or temporarily restricted funds. So if you look over those and have any questions, let me know. Clearly, we had a very successful year, and but most of it was because of the wonderful support we've had from some individuals for the scholarship. That is a very successful program. And again, we sent them $4,125 for the spring semester, because they so many of them had good grades. Any questions about the financials?
What a question for Mike and Derek. And I know I ask this every time, but you guys, are you confident that when a Pike comes back in September, he will look at his account and see that that money, in fact, is there in his name? That, you know, it's not just.
So go ahead, Derek. Or well, I'll answer since Derek. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that all of them go look, and since the thing going and double checking the month, like so the way that I'm putting in that numbers right now. Yeah, that's what feedback that I have from that, and I'm at another 78 years too, so that's just hanging out. Yeah.
So, Mike, you feel this new treasurer's got his act together? Good.
Yeah. So he was sending me his spreadsheets there for a while. So I had asked him to record cash flows and whatnot, and he was sending it to me there, I think, for the first month or two. What I need to do is I need to go back and check with him and make sure that he's going to continue doing that as he told me.
Right.
I mean, what he was sending me there for the first month or two, I mean, it seems like he knows what he's doing. So, I kind of gave him the advice that, this is good. I believe he's a finance major, and I told him, this is good. I told him this is good experience for you. So I will reach back out with him and make sure that he is staying on top of that. But I talked to him about making this part of the core responsibilities for the treasurer, and he seemed to be in agreement with that. So I will check back in with him and make sure that we're all good on that. But I don't suppose we should have any issue there.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay. All right.
Bill?
Yep.
I need to interject there something about the financials that I forgot to mention. Today, I received a check from Van Pedigo for $500 for the scholarship fund.
Wow.
Yay.
And you got the check. I got a letter. I got a card from him, from Van Pedigo. And he just wanted to thank us for the work that we all did on behalf of KCAA, how much it's greatly appreciated. And he offered a couple suggestions. He wants to make sure that we recognize the 11 seniors that will be graduating next May. Because he believes that is the class that initiated the turnaround of Kappa chapter. He wants us to offer honorary 1-year, first-year membership into the Alumni Association to all the seniors, which traditionally we've done. We did make a big deal of it this year because we only had one senior. But I think we will do that probably at the banquet. And he basically said he wanted to know, does anyone remember who was the young man that petitioned National to reinstate Kappa chapter after its charter was yanked? He saved Kappa for all of us, and we should honor him and get back to him. Does anybody?
That was Richard Schufelt.
Yeah.
Was that Richard?
Yeah.
Yep.
Thank you. All right.
The savior.
I got your card. We immediately elected him vice president. So, Van's a good man. And Charlie, did you get the check from Tom Shevlin yet?
Not yet.
That'll come. Don't worry. It'll come. So that's another 150. So, but that's to pay for his meal at the half for the meal and half for support. So.
Oh, is that right? Well, thanks for clarifying that.
Yeah.
This backstory on that, fellas, is that Tom gave Bill a check, and Bill found the check this week.
I put it in my briefcase, and tell you, I just didn't look at the briefcase until 2 days ago. So, yeah, my bad on that one. So,
That's what pockets are for.
And then he called me yesterday too to make sure we got his. He's just worried we're not getting the money. So, all right. Any other questions? All right. The next thing, I just want to make sure that we all agree that we, as far as we know, the chapter is sending 2 pikes to the Oklahoma convention, and that's the twins are going to go. And I would just want to make sure everybody understands that that we will be paying for the airfare, round trip airfare, and any registration fees that are not included in what National covers. We will also pay for their hotel accommodation. They'll be sharing a room, and assuming if National makes any kind of, contribution, fine, but other than, and I told them transportation to and from the airport, if there's a bus, but now I said no transportation down to the bars on the second night, just to and from the airport. And then I reached out to Candy and left her a message she and I had spoken about this, that my biggest concern is these guys are going to have to charge the airfare, and then it's going to take accounting 12 weeks to get them reimbursed. I want to make sure that this is done in a speedy fashion. She seemed to kind of casually say didn't think it would be a big problem, and that she had talked to Kara Covert, and Kara Covert had said that this was our intent to pay for these whatever National doesn't cover, we'll pick up.
Just to clarify, Bill, it's the KCAA Leadership Fund,
But right,
not Transy.
Not us.
They will pay for these things, not
that's it. No,
the Alumni Association.
and so and Scott.
Have you thought about telling them just to cut them each a check for $1,500 for expenses and be done with it?
Well, yes, and Transylvania is like a Methodist church, and they don't, they got accounting seems to have the fear of God to everybody, and they just couldn't do that.
No, they need a proper accounting.
Yeah.
But that,
Good work.
Scott, we have already contributed money to Transy in the KCAA Leadership Fund to pay for them to go to these events.
Yeah,
I think there's $6,000 in that fund. Is that right, Charlie?
No,
$4,000 to $6,000 in
yeah,
that fund, so it should be able to cover the
Right.
expenses for two.
Right. I think that's the fund I set up. But what I'm saying is just advance them each 1,500 and then have them keep their expenses. And if they need more money, then, we'll go ahead and give it to them.
Well, but I think you've run into some hurdles because they can't just cut you a check. You got to have documentation and itemization.
Right.
Because they see this as their prerogative, their money that they're allowed,
Well, let's go educate them.
Bill has done that.
So now, Derek, are you going?
Yeah.
Is that
You
a
are
yes?
going,
What?
Derek, you are going to Oklahoma City?
Yes.
Okay, did you see my email today about Phil Mosca?
I saw one from Cliff, and then I briefly saw one, but I do need to read it.
Phil Mosca is a contemporary of mine. He lives in Oklahoma City. He was at the reunion in 2023. He's a retired physician. He lives in Oklahoma City. I alerted him these two guys were coming out, and I copied you on that email.
Okay.
So we need to put Phil in touch with the twins. So if one of you all could send me a cell phone number, because they don't seem to read email. But he might be able to take you all out to dinner. He's planning to go to some of the convention events. His brother is also a Pike.
Okay. Yeah. I think so. Somebody was saying that somebody might want to do the delegate, and that's fine. Like I'm just filling in. Like if anybody wants to do anything, and if they just want to hang out and drink beers, that's fine with me too. I don't mind.
Well, I think if there's some event that you and Phil can represent the alumni, that would be nice to have a photograph of both of you all.
Yeah, absolutely.
If we win that award again, it would be great if you two guys, and even you can get Alan in there if you want, so we can submit it to the Rambler and local press and run it ourselves, and but it'd be great to see him in there. So
Okay, we'll do.
great. All right. Is there there's no objections to us covering these costs. Okay. The next thing you each received, not to have read, but to look at in the next week or two, some background information on how we're going to begin what I would believe is going to be a year-long process to drive awareness and revenue into the John T. Gentry Fund. Right now, it's interesting. Pi Kappa Alpha National says we have 709 living alumni, and Transylvania says we have 533. So I'm going to hedge my bet on Transy because they get notified of deceased probably and do something with it versus what National does. But let's say somewhere in the middle, we got 600. So my thought is a year-long, well-structured campaign using direct mail, which it pulls really well for us. And then a series, obviously, of emails, social media, texts, to not only to the group as a whole, but to each of us to reach out to our era, to people that were the original 1986 KCAA board of directors, living SM. I've got 30 living SMCs that I have contact information for, and I would like to reach out to each of them to help them put together communications to the guys that were in their chapter when they were there. I want to do a little mixture of video testimonials from our 10 recipients that we know about. We got a list from Transit, 10 recipients. Jan reached out. We've already got one of them locked in, but to have them talk a little bit about what a damn, important thing that was to them and why you should give. When you read that, you'll also see we have two kind of unique strategies. One we tried and the other one we didn't try. One is I really want to try to have some one-on-one conversations with those individuals over the age of 71 regarding the concept Jan brought to us, which is the IRA, and give them a really easy to understand set of instructions. If they want to donate, here's how to do it. Here's how you get started. Explanation from a couple of experts, but that's a long education for some people. The other thing we talked about but never did anything about because we're not officially tax deductible is over 300 people have graduated that never knew Teeny or ever went to the farm. And those guys are all working right now. And if we start to talk to them about the Pi Kappa Alpha John T. Gentry Fund, every one of them that works for a major corporation is highly likely to have a corporate matching fund available to them. And what I want to share with them is, if you make a donation, no matter how small, here are the instructions on how you can approach your HR department to inquire, do you have matching funds? Here's the paperwork they're going to ask you to provide. So if you give us 100, we may get 200, but that's money on the table. That's a pain in the ass to go after, but we've never had to use it. But I think this will be a good case for it to see if anybody takes us up on this. And even if it comes to alumni weekend, we can say to these guys, hey, if you've donated during the year, you can still go back and ask for matching funds from your corporation. So, that'll be a campaign unto itself. We're going to have our own John T. Gentry Scholarship website where it'll be linked to Transylvania. So if they want to make an online donation, otherwise there'll be instructions on how to write a check, who to write the check to, how the check should be made out. But it's all going to be in real Jack and Jill step-by-step instructions. And I see this thing going for a year, possibly 2 to 3 years. My thought is, and unless some high net worth individuals step forward, I think we ought to hope for $25,000 boost to the Gentry. It's a lot of money, but in the scheme of things, it's really only one scholarship.
But we already have $240,000
Right. Yeah.
head start. So if we can get another 25 or 50,000.
And maybe we get 10 every year after that. But and there's a letter in there that I wrote where I kind of gingerly step around like, hey guys, those of us that do Teeny and love Teeny, that group's getting smaller every year. And we need you to kind of step forward. But as you'll see in that document, you see in that document, we're going to work together as a team to reach out to people we know. I'm going to ask each of you to find at least one individual who will possibly give $500 matching funds. And I want to see if we can really goose the matching funds this year on this. But I think it's worthwhile. And it sounds like it's a pretty complex thing, but it's actually, once you automate it, it goes pretty easy. And hopefully Transylvania will chip in and do some of the grunt work for us. But they got 100,000 other funds, and I wouldn't be expecting too much. I think we're going to have to do most of the work ourselves. I'm going to also try to get us the ability to use bulk rate mail, which will save about 50% chance on postage. Don't want to use a lot of direct mail, but I do in the beginning. There's a list of all the people who have ever donated to this fund, going back to Debbie Compton, who gave the first donation. Is also, I've sent to you an email, so you can take a look at that. And I think we got a lot of good subgroups that we can talk to, and that's where we're trying to kick this off between. I'd like to get started by August 1st, but I want to make sure, and I was kind of hoping Ryan was going to be here. If any of you foresee any financial need that we may have to address in the next 6 months, because if we're talking teeny, it would be hard to raise funds for something else. So I want to make sure we got clear sailing before we launch this thing. And the one thing,
Bill, I've got a couple of comments. First, Izzy and Steve have said they've got issues with Zoom. They've
Okay.
not been able to connect. Izzy's tried it on and off 3 times. Nothing fixes it. They're not getting audio or video.
okay,
The other is to just what you just mentioned, that our organization is to help the current chapter, helping build funds for the scholarship is certainly worthy, but are we going to cannibalize KCAA for the benefit of the scholarship fund?
it's a good question.
I can give you $100 or $500 to the scholarship fund, but I'm tapped out, fellas. I'm not going to give you all any money.
I was looking at if you look at if you just boil the list down to those alumni who went to Transy when Teeny was there, I took it back to 55. That may be a little ambitious, and up to 90. I think that would be. I think anything beyond that, Jen and I were talking about that today. We might want to lead with the Pi Kappa Alpha Fund, but I wouldn't do this if I thought if we had a big financial. I think the skies are clear ahead for the next 6 months. So, and KCAA, that's really, it looks good, but we're only getting it from a handful of people. So it's up to you. I'm just putting that out there for. So Izzy, it did make it.
What's
I
that?
think it's important to distinguish between the KCAA fund, the Pike Scholarship Fund,
Right.
which is tax deductible, and the KCAA fund, which it's not a lot of money, the KCAA membership, which is not a lot of, at least to me, it's not a lot of money. It's a couple $100 a year. The Pike Scholarship Fund is a larger dollar. It's a larger tax shelter. And I think if we pursue this, with people that are able to shelter money through their qualified charitable distributions, it's good. And if we can pursue this with people that work for corporations that match their charitable contributions, that's good. And that's a whole different subset than the people that belong to the KCAA Alumni Association are contributing to the Turner Scholarship Fund. That's the way I see it.
Good points. Thank you.
Steve is not connecting. We recorded this whole meeting, so I will send Steve a recording as soon as we finish.
Can you hear me now?
I can.
Yeah.
We can see you guys. I don't know what I did, but I got it.
You're a welcome sight.
We've been able to see you guys. We just haven't been able to say anything. Maybe I'll tell Steve what I did.
Scott, you got to be with him.
I'm waving at him.
Okay. Make a note. We need to get an Indian on the board to take care of these things for us.
Yeah, we need
We've
tech
got a
support.
couple.
Woo-woos or
Bill-
gurus?
When that honor roll list,
Yeah.
looking down that a lot of contributions, there were several contributions that I spotted that were for spouses, wives. I'm sure they were in the name of their husbands who were brothers, so we can work together to clean up that, to clarify that list.
Yeah.
B, instead of calling it an honor roll, why don't you call it the Faithful Brothers?
Yeah, that was just that was just what we called it for the banquet.
Yeah.
So, because I thought most of those guys would be in the room, so that no one's seen any of this stuff but us. This is all internal stuff. All right, any questions or comments? All right.
Charlie, how much money is in our scholarship fund for the next several months? Like, with as much money that we've been spending, like, is this kind of what you were kind of hinting at, like, for making sure that we had enough money stashed away for that?
No, we have $14,243. And that is
Okay.
after the most recent $4,125 that I sent off.
Okay.
And we can add to that the $500 that I received today from Van Pedigo.
Okay.
Charlie, can you run that out for a couple of years? Sit down and do a spreadsheet that runs it out for the next 3 or 4 years to see how much support we have in-house already to pay for their grades, and see how much we will need in the near future.
We've received $15,000 from the family of Will Hoyt, being one of the names of the fund. I don't think we can expect any more from them.
No, they're
So that means,
But can you see how long the fund will last at current spend rates?
yes. Four semesters.
yeah. Okay. And we really the variable, Jan, is going to be how many these kids pick up this year. Are they going to replace the 11 that are leaving? Now we're getting up back to normal graduation classes. So we just got to keep our fingers crossed on that.
Well, given our discussion earlier today about grade inflation, we might want to sit down and adjust the payout levels, since everybody seems to be at 3-point these days.
Yeah, qualifications.
How do they do that?
That's like when you're the top salesman and then the boss comes in and says, "Great, we're moving your target up 40% next year. Good luck."
Hey, corporations do that all the time.
I know. All right. Any other questions? Any new business?
The long and the short that I heard of Jan's question and Charlie's answer, we need to double that fund within the next couple of years. So
Okay.
Exactly.
$10,000 each year for the next couple of years. And then I heard the earlier conversation about the John T. Gentry fund of 25,000, 50,000. I mean, we're talking some significant dollar raising here.
Yep.
I agree.
Yep.
Which is not I mean, it's an opportunity. Just say that, but I think we have to keep that in mind.
Jack, do you want to talk about Smoker? Mr. Hill?
Well, I was going to let Ryan, I was going to bring this under his discussion, but if he's not here, Derek, maybe you can contribute to this. But the rush chair, the recruitment chair, Robbie Craddy, has been rushing me this summer on Smoker, requesting an infusion from the Alumni Association of, I'm going to say, approximately $1,000 towards Smoker, and not more than $2,000. They spent on Smoker last year $1,400. They've budgeted $2,500, and they'd like to move it from the Hilton Hotel to the Lexington Club and I'm negotiating to try to get our $70 dinners down to $30 chicken dinners. So anyway, bottom line request is for $1,000, not more than $2,000.
From KCAA?
Yes.
Okay, now then in the past, they have not reached out and said, oh, can you give us this? So now with this appeal, that makes sense. Also in the past, some individuals have said, oh, I'm going to give you $50 or $100 for Rush. And then at some point I send them that amount, $300, I think it was last year. I just sent it to them saying this is to cover your Rush expenses. So with Robbie Crady's appeal, he's being proactive saying, can you all, KCAA, give us support? And I think we would need to have a vote on that as to the amount. But I think that's a good idea. Now then, on the other side, with more numbers, they are probably, their cash flow is much better than it was 5 years ago.
Charlie, can you put together some numbers on what we have contributed in the past to the Rush effort and share that with Jack? Maybe Jack can negotiate with the Rush chairman on a more realistic number. That's a pretty high number for the Alumni Association to contribute to Rush.
I just wanted to make a comment really quickly. And this isn't to say how much or how little should be given. I will say over the last 2 years, the feedback I've gotten is that the Smoker is the most important Rush event by far. I was told that this year over half of the people that they quote unquote closed came from the Smoker. So I think from the perspective of if there's somewhere that you want to put cash to help the active chapter, I think Smoker is an excellent opportunity to do that. Just because they're getting that's where a lot of their recruitment they claim is coming from. Is that event has been very solid the last couple of years. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
So yeah, and Charlie, kind of getting back to what you said, I can tell you that whenever we do an appeal for Rush, that really resonates with our alumni. And it is much, I think, easier to motivate them if we're asking for $50 for Rush than a lot of the things we ask them for. I think it might be worthwhile for us, since we've got some time, is to launch an appeal and see if we can bring in a few, $500 to $1,000 on our own. Mr. Brown?
Okay.
Yeah.
I can agree with that. Dan, as to your question, we have not designated much money specifically for Rush for several years, 4 years, 5 years. What I have sent them has been what has been specifically designated for. However, on another side of that, people give us money for dues plus support. Now that support could be scholarship, it could be Rush and other things that they may need. So that's just the background. We have not done much dollar amounts, but I'll look the numbers over. I just know that from recall.
William?
Here.
All right. I think that the Kappa fund that we set up, that Rush expenses is an item that they can use that money for, as I recall.
I think I have it right in front of me.
That was on the first one, not the most recent one, I believe. Because it needed to be with like the permanent chapter permanent chapter fixtures, and then the leadership was the primary things. I don't believe recruitment was one of them.
The fund of
haven't-
Transylvania can
wait a
only
minute.
be used for educational activities. It cannot be used for social activities.
Correct.
Yeah.
By the way, it allows them, it allows the fund, we're allowed to take money out for alumni reception during alumni weekend. So that's interesting. I have got it right in front of me here.
Yeah, I thought me and Donnie set that up so they could use it for Rush.
So, right, it says it covers leadership events such as Leadership Summit, chapter, executive conferences, academies, etc., education and development, costs affiliated with alumni newsletters, networking events, and an alumni weekend reception. Permanent structure to the chapter room, but it cannot be used for social activities without an education and development purpose. So poker lessons is an option. There can be no alcohol and no Pi Kappa Alpha affiliated merchandise may be purchased. That's
Shit. Sorry.
yeah, but I mean, it could. The party fund might be one that.
Yep. I think that would be.
Well, I think Jack, if we can get with the Rush chairman and maybe the SMC and have that, because these guys do their homework. Let's get a budget and see what you really need, and we'll
Find it.
let's reach out and see if we can get a few donations and.
Yeah. Me and Donnie owe you $100 each for screwing up.
Well, as Jack pointed out, the SIGs made a big point of Jack Heller talking to him about how the hell do the Pikes always have such a great smoker every year when they sit in a windowless church basement that's filled with mildew. So, I think it's, if all the things they do during the year, I kind of agree. Rush is the most important.
So given that, I'd like to suggest we provide them at least $1,000 for Rush for the next coming year.
Is there a second?
Yep.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye, Captain.
Anyone opposed? Okay.
Well, what you did not say was, no one else said, should we give more? But,
yeah.
Well, we can start there.
Start there, yeah.
Well, if they play poker, I want a cut too.
Hell, you can't even remember to give us the money. Put checks in your pocket.
That's right. Well, yeah, let me put. I'll donate Tom Shevlin's $150 for it.
Donnie's okay.
Right. All right, gentlemen.
Just remember, they came at us last year for money for their formal. And they've also come at us for money for their retreat or their vacation. I'm just not really keen on. We raised that money ourselves in my day. It's much more expensive these days.
Yeah, very expensive.
We didn't have alumni sugar daddies.
Yeah.
Yeah, the chapter did put through something before the end of the year that the new rates for dues is going up by about double of what it is. They end up realizing that they're a little bit behind on the times on raising them, so they're trying to grandfather in, all the people now, but the incoming students are going to pay a higher rate each term, and that'll help offset some of the rush needs that they think that they'll see, along with generate enough revenue for other areas. So there was a point that I think Charlie was bringing up about making sure that we're solvent. So chapter was aware of it, and they did go put that through.
And what is that rate, those dues going to be now?
I really would have to go look. It's been several months since I actually dabbled in any of the treasury stuff since Michael's been on.
Does $375 a semester sound right?
Yeah, it's gonna go to, I know it's going above 400. That I
Yeah.
remember.
Yeah, it's going up more than it's going up more, but I'm unsure of what the specific dollar amount is.
Okay.
So I don't want to go on and overpromise or understate. But it is going up, and it's going up quite a bit compared to what it is. And the guys kind of also justified it too, that with the scholarship dues, like the guys will end up paying about what that they are supposed to. So it's kind of just like a balancing it out kind of thing. Like, yeah, that if they do good on grades, then scholarship money comes in to offset that. So it's still reasonable for what it is.
So we'll find out next time.
Yeah. One other thing too with the bulk mail and the Gentry appeal, can we make sure that we get like a well put together newsletter and try to include that with the mailing, so that way the alumni don't just get like a give us money kind of thing, that they say that they see everything that the chapter is up to, as well as like some of the things that the alumni are trying to push, and maybe a couple sprinkles of what kind of funds that are needed, like for the scholarship fund, like, oh, we donated $4,000 to the chapter for this, for having GPA, and by the way, we're also raising money for Gentry. And I'm not sure if that'll overcomplicate the effort, but being able to see all this stuff in the one mailer would probably be helpful.
Yeah,
I agree. You got to remember though that the mailing is coming from the Gentry Pi Kappa Alpha Fund, not from us, because we are. Although you'll never know it when you get it, because the fund qualifies for bulk rate. Well, actually, no, I take that back. I'm sorry. We in fact do qualify for bulk rate mail, so we won't forget that I even brought that up. So
we could also apparently, I guess, tap in for mailings from the scholarship too, if it does start getting overly expensive.
Yeah. So, okay. Any new business?
I got something.
Please.
Since T-Day, I have traveled, and I've been with several of the brothers and got some comments. One I had dinner with, had been back to Transy, and he says he will not miss our things because he had a lot of fun and missed the brotherhood. Had lunch with another one who came back, I think maybe came back for Harold's Club and really enjoyed it, but wanted to know why we couldn't do what Transy does and offer a lot more things to do while they're here, while they were here. So I thought, well, you participated in golf and you came to the dinner. I told him the dinner now is a lot nicer on Friday, and Harold's Club. So those were some comments. But he did say that the efforts that we're making are really, really good, and that he thinks that the more you can get them here, at least once, they'll keep coming and keep helping us out. Or as X says, who's been here for 15 years straight from Mexico, I'll come to see you because I'm not coming to your funeral. So, I think we need to maybe think about having like Transy does. I hate to say that, but more activity, for, people and so on and so forth. So other than that, Izzy, you got the room rate yet?
I was just thinking that when you started talking about T-Day. No, I'll email him.
Yep. All right.
Hey, Jack Hillard, should we,
Sure.
should we inquire about a rate for us for T-Day before Trancy gets in there and
Screws us up.
let's take the inventory from them. So,
Yeah, I think we should just take over Alumni Weekend, and clearly our events are going better than the universities. So,
well, better.
yeah, I think
Yeah,
with your better connection there, we should go down and talk to them.
Yeah, we got a lovely letter from the owner of the Sire, falling all over himself for not having done more. So, and I made sure that like people like Jimmy Carter and Mac and those guys, all those former big donators, got a nice briefing on what went on and lots of pictures. And so,
well,
Thanks.
if we would continue to do the Saturday night event there and have a bar tab of $2,000 or $3,000, I would imagine we might do a better rim rate for the weekend.
Yeah.
Well, he starts off pretty high, so we'll see how low you can get him.
Anybody besides me ever been in one of those rooms?
I've stayed there for the past 10 or 12 years.
Oh, I hated the place. My room was the size of a closet.
It's a New York City hotel room.
There you go.
They gave me a very nice corner room at rack rate.
Yep.
But Bill, may I make a suggestion? You said you had a letter from Patel.
Yeah.
Why don't you let his classmates, his contemporaries, know that he's looking forward to working with us in the future.
Yeah.
We might be able to bring some of them in.
Yeah, I was also going to ask him to write a letter for the teeny for his classmates. And in the past, when he was
a successful organization, I looked them up.
Yeah, no, he's very good. Yeah, and he a couple of years ago he gave us a I guess a weekend at his property to auction off or have a raffle on, and I think the plastic surgeon won it.
Oh, really?
Mr. Patel,
Yeah.
Dr. Patel, yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Patel.
Yeah. So I'm sure because I remember somebody thinking that was fixed. So, all right, gentlemen, any other new business?
Bill, on the expense side, I see these colossal grams.
Yes.
There've been 4 of them.
Yes.
Does that sound right?
Yes.
Okay. Canva.
Canva is the software program that we do all the newsletters on, and we do all the emails and all the Facebook posts.
Okay, that's $13. And Wix. We've had a couple Wix.com.
That's our website.
Are we getting hit monthly?
Yes. We can do it yearly. I can switch it over if you want.
Oh, I think we had been doing it yearly, so that's what surprises me. Okay.
Jack, Jack, can you explain what the colossal gram is? Jack Hillard? You were the recipient of one of, remember the telegram?
Yeah,
of course I remember. Yeah.
I didn't know if we were going to continue to be seeing those expenses.
Yeah, if that's somebody gets $1,000 or something like that, that's something I use in my business, and people always, 10 years later they come up, and so for whatever it was, $19 or $20, I think it's it's an extraordinary gesture. It has a lot of panache when it hits their home.
I see. Okay, I just wanted to know if you're going to see many more of those.
No. Charlie Anderson? He's the last one I sent one to.
Okay, good. Thanks.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been in the fundraising development business for 30 years with universities, and it's the nicest thank you that I wish I'd known about the known about those before. I mean, when my office called and said, you need to come and it's a big package. And I'm like, what the hell? And I opened it. I mean, it makes an incredible, it's a poster sized thank you note. It's very nice.
Okay, good. That's what I thought it was. I just didn't know if we were gonna continue to see these
Oh, yeah.
expenses.
Just as somebody, somebody drops, like, what's her name up in Louisville, the Will Hoyt got one.
Langston?
Yeah. So if they drop, several $1,000s, I'll be sending those, and they're just, you were just asking for the next donation.
Yeah, okay. Thank you.
Hey, are you guys on LinkedIn?
Yes.
Okay. I'll hook up with you. That's the only social media I have left. So
Well, speaking of LinkedIn, if you're on LinkedIn, go check out our new page, Kappa Alpha, Kappa Chapter Alumni Association, and just like it, and that way all the people that follow you will be drawn to it.
okay.
So we post about every 3 days.
Oh, good.
You did all at once. It runs it for you. To me, I envision it's part of my reach out to the younger pikes. When I say younger, I mean in their 30s, 20s that are all on LinkedIn. But I'm also thinking about parents next year when they're checking their kid wants to be a pike. What the hell is Pike Kappa Alpha? And it's all about a lot of stories about how great Greeks turn out and what good business people we are and how successful we become, and not just us, but all Greeks.
Right.
So, yeah,
Okay.
we plug Scott's daughter's charity there as well. So got more likes than anything else we put up there.
Well, that's because it's a great one.
Oh, I know. I agree.
Yeah. One of the best parties that Izzy and I ever went to was there.
That's true.
Yep.
Okay. So any other new business? Is there a motion to go have a drink?
Yes.
Yeah.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye, Captain.
Okay. All right. I'll have this. If anybody wants to go back and read it, it's been recorded. Don't worry. So, and we'll send it to Mr. Spacuzza.
Good night.
Good evening.
Take care,
Take
guys.
care.